right, module number 5. We're going to be talking a little bit about networking. This is just something that is a must-have now when it comes to getting a job in medical and honestly probably even business-to-business sales if you're breaking in that way. And you have a lot more tools and stuff than I had when I was first starting my search. I mean, I've been with my company now 10 years, and some of the social media tools that you have now weren't around for me. So the real goal of this course is to have you prepared to get in with a good resume, with the understanding of what you're doing, what area you're trying to get into, and knowing someone in the company to get you a referral or at least a recommendation to the manager based on conversations and talking with people. And a lot of times people love to talk about themselves, so don't be afraid to reach out to people. I know this is a little bit old school, but this is just, it's crucial now. So many times, you can lose out to these jobs because, someone knew someone in the company. And if you don't have that extra accolade behind your name, it makes it just so much more difficult. So yeah, like I said, you want to be able to have a good resume that's going to stand out. We'll talk about resumes more in the course. But you want to have the experience, the resume, and the network, have a contact within the company. So we're going to talk about ways to get into that. So, like I said, it's old school, but you really need to be thinking about everyone that you know, or not even that, but it's like who do some of your friends and who in your network knows someone in medical. So just a quick story of my first medical job. Yes, I had a great resume because I did the time at Paychex. But when I found my job with Orthofix, I scrounged around and found out, sure enough, one of my older fraternity brothers worked for the company. So I called him up, and sure enough, he knew the hiring manager, and it was great to have a shoe-in. I mean, that guy was willing to vouch for me. He'd known me. He was in my fraternity, but he was also in my high school, and we weren't that close, but we have a lot of the same friends and connections from our hometown. And so he was willing to vouch for me to his manager and say, hey, I've known this guy most of my life, and he's a good guy. So you want to have something like that going in, besides just having your name on a piece of paper on a resume. So start digging and thinking about who those people are. And then you reach out to them. You get their email, you get their phone number, and you can just reach out. You can ask if they want to do coffee, if it's someone that's pretty close, like if it's one of your parents' friends that might be in medical. Say I'm super excited about breaking into medical sales, and I know you're in it, and I'm just so interested and excited to hear about what you do. And people love to talk about themselves, so they'll give you a little bit of time, whether it's just a 15-minute phone call. But all of that is just going to help add more fuel for you to help you get one of these jobs. So go through your social network. Look on Facebook. A lot of times people put who they work for in their Facebook. You click on their picture and it might have about me, and it'll tell you what company they work with. Now, if you're still in college and just breaking out, you need to be thinking about, again, who are your friends with? Who are these older high school connections that you have? That's what it worked out for me. Fraternity, sorority. This is just critical to really expand that network and do a deep dive into who you know and what they are doing after college, because this is the route to go. And it can be difficult. It's not something fun to just go out and reach out to people and ask them for their time, but it's what you have to do. And these companies and these people you're reaching out to are going to be impressed that you're going the extra mile. I mean, anyone can sit around and submit resumes to companies. And that's just it's not the way it works anymore. You got to do more. You got to take that extra effort. So reach out to those people, start making those phone calls, make those emails and text messages. It's not intrusive. This is the way of the world. This is the way of business. So LinkedIn is such a powerful tool, and I wish that I had this when I was going through trying to get these jobs. It's just incredible. Now, if you haven't set up your LinkedIn, or if you already have, you need to make sure you have very professional cover photo. I mean, a lot of people even have a professional photographer. If you're a guy wearing like a tie or at least a nice button up, and girls just have a nice professional headshot, because it really, first impressions are important. So if someone pulls you up on LinkedIn and you have a crappy picture and it's all dark and shaded and it doesn't look very professional, and that manager has a bunch of candidates, they're going to look through all their LinkedIns and they're going to have an idea of who's impressed them before they ever even meet with you. So make sure you set up a professional LinkedIn, can have a resume on there. You can have your accolades of what you've done, who you sold to, what you've been doing, basically just kind of backing up your resume. Companies are searching this. Recruiters for companies are just mainly using LinkedIn to find people for jobs now. So this is a great way to stand out from people that might be a little bit more old school and not using this power of LinkedIn. Now, to go even in deeper depth, what you can do is when you get in, whether if you're at the very beginning and you need to get a job in business to business sales, you can join all the groups. For example, if I was in Nashville, there's groups that would say Nashville B2B reps, Nashville business to business sales, Nashville, whatever it might be. You want to join all of those, because if you've spent any time on LinkedIn, you're going to realize you can't just go and add anyone that you'd like. You got to have some kind of connection. It's the way LinkedIn works. So you're not just getting spammed by random people. You got to kind of have something in common. And then the same with medical. I mean, I think I'm in 11 groups. I'm in my high school group, alumni. I'm in my University of Tennessee alumni, my fraternity alumni. And then I'm in all these different kind of medical device groups. I'm in the spine group. I'm in medical sales professionals, just all different kinds of them. And so what that allows me to do is, if I'm looking for, say, a manager for robotics or something, if I wanted to leave my job now and I wanted to get into robotics because it's such a hot area, I would be able to go in the search and type in Nashville Robotics, or even the company. Like, say I wanted to get in with Intuitive, I could type in Intuitive Regional Manager Nashville, and more than likely, because of one of the groups I'm in, they're in them too, and then they're going to pull up their name, and then I'll be able to connect. You hit connect, and then when they connect back with you, you reach out to them and you send them a private message and just say, hey, I'm super excited about what you and your company are doing, and I've submitted my resume to the opening that you have in Nashville, and I'd love to see if you have 5 or 10 minutes to talk about the opportunity. This is pre-interview. This is the kind of aggressiveness that these managers want from somebody, because when you get into medical sales, doctors aren't just going to be like, oh yeah, I just want to meet with reps all day. Sometimes it's hard. You gotta get past the gatekeeper and get an appointment, and you gotta go out of your way. So if you're willing to do that on LinkedIn to talk to them about the opportunity, then that shows that you kind of have the chops to be able to do what it takes to get a job, and then once you're in, to do a good job. So I can't stress how important LinkedIn is, and now it's become an amazing place to actually find job openings. LinkedIn Jobs is just completely taken off in the last few years. And so you have got to use the power of LinkedIn. And I'll tell a little bit story about what I did when, I had a great resume and then I got that job with Orthofix. But my job now, again, I had a great resume, but I didn't know anyone in the company. And I reached out and expanded my network and really did a deep dive. And so it turns out it was one of my wife's friends from college, her boyfriend, didn't know the guy, reached out, had my wife text her and say, hey, my husband really wants to get a job with your husband's company. Would he, can I get his number so they can talk? Turns out we hit it off. Now he's one of my good friends. He's not with the company anymore. He moved down to Louisiana. We still stay in touch, and we just became really good buddies. So don't be afraid of doing this kind of stuff, because you can build really good friendships and long-lasting relationships doing that. So again, now I had a contact who knew the manager and was going to vouch for me and say, yeah, I know this guy. I'm willing to vouch for him. I think he'd be a great fit. And then I hit it off with my hiring manager. The interview wasn't even that crazy. I mean, because I was coming in, I didn't have to do these super intense 10-step phone interviews and all these kind of things. I mean, we sat down 2 times, and then he sent me to meet with his boss, flew to Charlotte, ate lunch at a country club with my boss's boss, which basically at that point, they're making sure that you are competent. I mean, they trust their manager to make a good hire. They just want to make sure you can have a meal and a conversation with somebody and show some promise. They know you don't know everything about spinal implants or whatever it might be. And after that, then I got home and my manager said, hey, you passed that? Why don't you and your wife come to dinner with me and my wife? Because in these medical sales jobs, I mean, you work with people, you want to be friends with them. You don't want to work with someone you don't really have anything in common with, or you really don't get along. I mean, it's kind of like a family. I mean, you got to rely on these people to do favors for you and work hard. So they want to know you, they want to know your family and what you're all about. And you end up doing awesome things like, end of the year parties, Christmas parties. I mean, I would go every year. My boss would have a Christmas party at his house, and we'd all get together and have drinks and hang out. And it's like a family, and they want to hire somebody that's going to fit in with their group. And so, that all that stemmed from me telling my wife to text message her friend. And so go out of your way, because you have no idea where it can go. Yep, we talked about these LinkedIn groups, how you have these connections, how it might be a second connection or third connection. And the way to get past those, if you can't add them right away, is to go ahead and get in a group. These are some of the ones I talked about. Get in as many groups as you possibly can. And, I haven't even been looking for jobs that long. In 10 years or so, I have 1,000 LinkedIn connections. So shoot for this every day. Research the companies, find the people that are in your city with those companies that you want to break into. And because it might not happen that time you reach out to them, but hey, in 3 months, they might have an associate rep position, and then they go scroll back through their messages and they see that you reached out to them. And then they say, hey, now I have something. Let's talk about the position. That's how a lot of this goes down. It's not just all about going online to Stryker.com and applying for a job, because I did that. I mean, I was so discouraged. I did it all day. When I was that recruiter and the light bulb went off that I could get into this, and I just, it really is discouraging, and it's really not, it's really almost impossible to get a job doing it that way. So add to your arsenal. Now, LinkedIn's great, and I think the best other actual job posting site would be medreps.com. And this is going to be $20, but they have medical device, they have pharmaceuticals, they have everything in the town that you live in. A lot of them are entry level, so that's great. I mean, they're looking for those associate rep jobs to break into the industry. And these are really good because these are actually active jobs. And then and when you go on these and you start submitting your resume to these jobs, those recruiters are going to keep your resume in their database. So if that job doesn't work out for you, it's okay, no worries. They're going to have you in their database, and next time something comes up, entry level in whatever town you're in, your name's going to pop up, and they're going to reach back out to you and say, hey, sorry it didn't work out for this one, but I have something I think that might work out for you. And another thing is these jobs on LinkedIn and company websites, sometimes companies, I think actually all the time, when a job's posted, I think that it is mandatory for them to post the job to show that they're being fair. But a lot of the times, those jobs are already taken. For instance, there's a guy in my company, and he took a different role, and then he ended up coming back to his old job at Vanderbilt. And so they posted the job, the company posted the job. And I was getting messages and text messages, hey, I heard there's a opening with your team in Nashville. And I was like, well, I'm sorry, it's not really that. There's a guy just coming back to his old job. And so this happens so much. I mean, I talked to a guy a while back when he was trying to break in, and he said it even before I did. He said, Larry, if there's a job that's posted, I'm assuming it's already accounted for. You want to get in before the job's even posted. And that happens through networking and specific sites like amedreps.com. That they're not just going to post something, because the recruiter is going to get paid to post that job and find somebody for that job. So they're not going to waste their time just posting it if there's no job open. They're going to work on jobs that are open. So get on MedReps. It's an amazing tool. It's all specific to these medical device and pharmaceutical jobs. And those recruiters are working directly with the hiring manager who knows them and who trusts them to find someone good, but they're going to have an insight of exactly what they're looking for. And you're going to be able to talk to that recruiter on the phone, say, what's he or she looking for? Really do a deep dive so that you can prepare yourself for when you do get that interview. So that's really the task here, is to really polish up your LinkedIn, join MedReps, and start applying for those jobs.